So WoW Ascension and Medium XL both launched their new seasons on the same day, and I put in some feedback to the WoW Ascension devs mainly to buff the Iron Man XP because I think that's a really cool mode. There's also other people covering that server, so if I'm not like really in it, or if I don't have like a really cool idea, then might as well just do something else. We're gonna wait to choose a specialization for the character until a usable unique drops, and we'll make a build around that unique. This is because though we can choose a passive from the tree without penalty, the rest require you to commit to a specific tree, locking you out of the others, and you only get 3 free respecs, and anything past that requires an item that's fairly rare. You can choose 3 masteries, and the first one locks you to only melee and summons. The next one's pretty situational, and we don't need mana regen just yet because we have no abilities, except the Amazon innate skill, which increases physical damage by 30% and spell damage by 15%. There are 2 rune words for level 6 throwing weapons that I didn't know about, and I think it's a typo because Patriot is obviously throwing axe, and if anything the throwing knife should be named the Butcher. Before starting, I find this glorious dagger from a vendor which gives a whopping 8 life on hit, which is nearly 10% of my max HP at level 1, and attacks very fast, which results in me not really being able to take damage unless maybe like too many ranged units around me. Since we have no abilities, the bow mercenary becomes our main goal as she's a ton of AoE, and in order to get her we need to kill the Blood Raven, which isn't looking very possible with our current setup. This character will be short-lived as well. I'm playing multiplayer. I experienced 1 disconnect and this massive rubber banding, which wouldn't really be an issue if I wasn't playing on hardcore, but the whole 1 life thing really amplifies the severity of situations like this. To be fair, the lag may have been my internet's fault, but that being said, according to Discord, there's no difference between online and single player aside from the multiplayer aspect, so in order to avoid having to deal with this lag, I restarted on single player. A really high DPS weapon you can buy at level 1 is this throwing axe, which always adds a 7 to 10 lightning damage, and it does innate lightning damage as well, so it's going to be doing probably way more damage than most stuff at this level. Next to Blood Raven, there's too many dungeons that are really nice farming spots. This one has a chest near the entrance, and this boss, which I could have soloed with my throwing axe, but I don't think I ever tried. It was kind of a mistake too, because you can see this boss gives a ton of XP. I instead waited till level 8 where we picked up a superior dagger from a vendor which had really nice stats on it, dropped an Eldred in it, and made Shark, and at this point I didn't know about the throwing axe rune word, so this was what I thought was the best rune word. It is pretty good. Mainly you get the 20% attack speed, and the chance to get bloodlust on kill would be better for other characters because I already have that skill, but the rune word also does boost the damage of bloodlust by 9%. After killing Blood Raven, we now get to choose between one of 2 extremely powerful mercenaries that seem to have all their abilities level 1, despite what it says here showing that they get them at level 90. I'm pretty sure I saw her use Trinity Arrow already. I chose a ranger who has a buff that gives crushing blow and attack speed for my auto attacker build. The other would probably be better if I was a spellcaster. At the bottom of Forgotten Tower, we run into the shiny hoarder, which I guess will always drop a unique. Unfortunately, the 2 armor pieces that drop are sorcerers only, and the unique smoke spear is also sorcerers only, which I really don't like the mechanic. Imagine if it just gave 1 to all skill levels and 15% cast speed, you could turn it into a caster Amazon build. For some free higher level runes that we can't use yet, we go to the top of Forgotten Tower and easily slay a countess. I do run her again, but the chest only drops runes once. We get our first close call with Dendariel. She has a meteor attack that does quite a bit of damage. I didn't want to risk it, so I went to Geed, and he now has a filter items option to more easily see what you're looking for, which I think is new in this update. Each item has a minimum level that you're able to see it from. This bow happens to be level 19, so I grind a few levels to be able to gamble for it. The bow that we gamble for is blue, so we can't turn into a rune word, but if we buy oil renewal from Geed, we plop it into the cube, we can downgrade the bow. It has no sockets though, so we need to plop any 2 jewels in the cube with the bow, transmute again, and we can now drop this ethanol rune into the bow to create the edge rune word, which adds quite a bit of elemental damage mainly, and the mercenary is able to use the bow. The Dendariel fight goes much smoother, and she drops a one-handed unique axe which has no synergy with any Amazon builds. There are melee builds, but you need specific weapon types to even use the abilities. I find these really interesting gloves which have a chance to spawn a level 11 poison tornado, which actually does quite a bit of damage. In hindsight, I don't know how I stumbled across these, because for the most part I'm never checking blue drops, and I rarely even check yellows. I think I got them from a vendor though. This staff rune word is really easy to get, as you just need to insert a tier rune into a staff, and you get the blink ability, which is really helpful because when you blink, the mercenary will blink with you out of any stuck positions, and she ends up getting stuck quite a lot. Like we're talking every 30 seconds, so I'm running through mobs too quickly. By putting an Ethrin into a belt, you get 10 to 15% resist all elements, and this is one of my only sources of resist at the moment. For some more resist all, this honor rune word helps a little bit and gives some other helpful stats. Once I get a bow, I use this glove rune word, which gives 10% combat speed, and this affects attack speed, cast rate, hit recovery, and block rate. And we're about to start using a bow thanks to this unique drop, which adds quite a bit of cold damage and cold spell damage, and the only Amazon tree that synergizes with cold damage is the bow tree. The main bow skill for killing bosses and tougher targets is Trinity Arrow, which as you can see melts Duriel in this fight, and Duriel drops this wrist blade, which can make leveling an assassin very easy, but I still haven't decided if I do another character if it will be solo self-found or not. Mephisto drops this chest piece, which gives you the ability to increase damage by 8% for 3 seconds on somebody. It doesn't seem like a huge damage boost to me though. He also drops this scimitar, which can make leveling a breeze for really any melee build that can use it. Using one of my 2 arcane crystals, I upgrade this chest piece to the next tier, which triples the low and added cold damage and the armor. The bow skill I use when facing a lot of kiteable melee mobs is Barrage, and this also converts some of my damage to cold, so we have more synergy with the chest piece. Though this skill comes in handy for fights like this, I don't know if it was worth investing points into, because you have to be pretty close to mobs to be able to use it, and mobs are about to become really dangerous. Decoy comes in really handy as a pocket tank I can put wherever I want while I sit back off screen and snipe at mobs from safety. And strangely enough, starting a Diablo fight, we're about to see 3 level 6 required unique drops in a row. This polearm's level 14 hunting banshee on kill seems pretty good for that level. level. The antlers give quite a bit of health regen. Unfortunately, both are class restricted, which you guys know how much I love that mechanic. We find the third consecutive level 6 unique in this elite zone of Baden, which I farm for quite a bit of XP. When fighting the ancients, we can check out this ability Phalanx, which is really only worth putting 1 point into because the damage doesn't increase, and it's a very situational ability. It always fires in the same direction. By the time you calculate the angles to place it, you probably could have already killed the target with a few Trinity arrows. Apparently the final boss of the Throne of Destruction kills you just for being near him. There's no projectiles I'm not dodging here, and it's the closest I've come dying so far. I was heavily considering safe quitting out, but I forgot to grab the World Sun Keep level 2 waypoint, so I would have had to run back pretty far, and I decided just to YOLO it. That boss fight takes a while, but he eventually gets in a corner where I'm able to shoot him from off screen, and he spawns a portal to the zone, which I remember my last meeting series I couldn't do at this level. This build is a huge advantage in this zone with these angles that I can snipe at enemies from, and they don't seem to be able to shoot back. Any small quarters are no problem because I can just spawn a decoy between myself and enemies and will soak up all their arrow fire. The 3 boss girls in here are also really easy if you have a good amount of range. Doing this as a melee character was very difficult from what I remember. Each boss drops a shard and I transmute all 3 into this really powerful item that just needs to be in inventory to gain the bonuses. Plus via side quest in Frozen River you get the scroll that can be transmuted with it to get plus 10% extra elemental resist. The bell fight has a 20-minute timer, but it doesn't quite take 20 minutes, and Bill drops a second Druid only bow. Imagine if this gave plus 1 all skill levels and wasn't Druid only. I can't complain too much though, as we do finally get an Amazon only drop, and it's a tier 2 helmet, so it's pretty relevant to this level. If I wanted to upgrade it to next tier with my other arcane crystal, the dex requirement would increase to 164, which is 70 dex away from where we are now. Moving into Nightmare, I could drop a respec and get that 164 dex, but I also have to get a bunch of strength if I want to keep upgrading the chest piece, and that doesn't leave many leftover points for vitality, which I'm not sure I really need, though it has saved me moments where I wasn't paying close enough attention. I'm thinking I just save the respec until we get a better unique drop that I can make a build around, and for now just mash points into dex so I can get that tier 3 Amazon helmet. This is a huge upgrade over the tier 2 version. We don't need to go past 164 dex for now though, because that tier 4 helmet's potentially trash if you don't get the plus 1 to Amazon skills. The other stat increase are not high enough to warrant spending that much into dex. There's also some really nice rune words to consider moving forward. For this one I have the Foul and the Thul runes, which are the easiest part of it, but maybe we'll get lucky. Or I could turn that Foul rune into this bow Blitzen, which not only I could apply to a higher tier bow. At current level it adds 108 to 216 lightning damage, and this damage will scale as I level up. This character hasn't died yet, which you can see by the red lettering my name, and I think that's the only way, but I think if it does die I will keep progressing it and just track the number of deaths. And I could do a self-imposed penalty where dying makes me lose all my gold, or I have to sacrifice a random piece of equipped gear like they do in WoW Ascension. How would you guys know that it's truly random or I'm tracking all my deaths? Maybe I could live stream it to add some legitimacy. Even if I don't talk and it's a garbage stream that no one watches, I would at least have recorded proof.